Alright guys, so I'm making this video strictly for people that are looking to downgrade their trucks. So I downgraded last year during the gas spikes from a 2017 F-150 with the 3.5 EcoBoost. It was giving me about 12.3 miles per gallon. That's strictly because I had it on 35s with 2.5 inch leveling kit, if I remember correctly. Um, So, I pretty much narrowed it down to about 3 to 4 cars back when I was in the market. And now I've actually driven most of those cars. So I just kind of want to give you like some feedback in regards to that. I don't have any videos or anything like that. You're just gonna have to take my word for it or go to CarMax and just drive them yourselves. I've had these rented out, so I've had them for longer periods of time, so I could kind of give you more so how I feel about them. So the 4 cars that I'm comparing are the Nissan Altima, the newer one, not the old one, which I believe it comes with a 2.0 and a CVT. All these cars are going to have CVTs, but let me just look up the engine. So yeah, it's 2.0 4 cylinder. There is an optional 2.5. The one that I drove, I believe, was a 2.5 because it was pretty torquey. Most of the CVTs nowadays are actually decent compared to 10 years ago, where they were just kind of weird. But so the first one, I'm gonna tell you what I traded in my truck for, and that was a Subaru Legacy. So a 2021 Subaru Legacy Limited. Reason I chose that car is because it was the most bang for the buck. It wasn't necessarily the most powerful, especially downgrading from a 3.5 EcoBoost. Obviously, for those of you who have driven those trucks and I've had multiple trucks, it's probably the fastest non performance truck out there. Um, yeah, you could take out like EcoBoost Mustangs, keep up with 5.0s. Like, it's a fairly powerful truck. So obviously, none of these cars are going to have that kind of power. Again, this is strictly for people that are looking to save money and get a gas efficient vehicle, right? So again, going back to the Subaru, the reason I chose it is because it had the most headroom. So I tend to be very claustrophobic in cars. So I needed something that kind of simulated a truck cabin. Obviously, it's not going to be a full size truck like a 1500, a half ton, but it's going to simulate more of like a mid sized truck like a Colorado, a Canyon, Tacoma. Um, what other mid sized trucks are there? Not the Maverick. That's like a compact size. But you get the point. So again, the reason why I chose the Legacy, one was the space. Second was the all-wheel drive system. So it has symmetrical all-wheel drive. Subaru is known as one of the best all-wheel drive systems out there. It came with a Harman Kardon upgraded system. I love music. I need to have a good sound system, especially when I just have those days and want to blast some super loud music, right? It comes with proximity sensors all around the car. That's all 4 doors, including the trunk. It comes with accent lighting outside of the car, so in case you're trying to find your keys, which obviously you don't because it's proximity sensors, or you maybe just drop something on the floor. Uh, Super efficient. It has projector LED headlights and fog lights. They do so it's rated. All these cars, I believe, are rated top safety plus picks from the IIHS. So crash safety, as far as if you have a family, all of these cars are a great choice. But when it comes to visibility with headlights, stuff like that, I did find that the Subaru had the best one. So the cars I'm comparing, just so you know which cars I'm comparing, it's gonna be the Toyota Camry, the Nissan Altima, the Honda Accord, and what was the other one? I guess it was just 3 cars. Sorry about that. Um, yeah, it was the Accord, oh, the Legacy. So four cars, right? And trying not to put so much space in between the video, but that's more so why I chose the Legacy. And then on top of that, the features that you get. So I paid 31.5 for my car, brand new. They go, I think they start at 31 at least for a limited trim, and they just go up from there, especially if you get like the turbocharged engine. So I went with a naturally aspirated 2.5 Boxster. Um, it is a magnificent car. It's not as fuel efficient as, let's say, the Accord, but again, you get all-wheel drive. Because of the features, it's maybe a little bit heavier than the Accord. And then just overall, like even having I think it's a 12.7-inch diagonal display, so kind of like Teslas, Volvos, uh, Dodge with like their bigger displays. It's it's awesome. Like it feels like you're driving something on the lines of like a BMW. Um, Not a Mercedes. Mercedes is like a little. I feel like they're a little extra on the interiors. BMW's minimalistic, and maybe Audi. I would compare it like that as far as interiors go, especially with the Harman Kardon. It's exactly what BMWs get. Um, as far as gas mileage, city wise, it gives me about 30 miles per gallon against Boxster. Again, Boxster engines are backwards. They tend to give you better city than highway. I don't know why. I don't know the mechanics or the engineering behind it. I'm not going to get into it. But it gives me about 30 city, and then highway gives me roughly about 34, just depending on how fast I'm going. I live in Texas. Our highways get up to 85 miles an hour, which you add another five, going about 90 the entire time. So um, when it comes to those kinds of speeds, the car tends to derive anywhere from 34, and it's given me up to 56 miles per gallon when you're going downhill or you're coming from a higher altitude to a lower altitude. So it's very fuel efficient. It's extremely comfortable. It's probably the most comfortable out of all these cars as well. Again, well, I didn't even mention it, but I'm 5'10", about 220 pounds. So give or take, judge it based off of that. Now moving on to the Altima. The Altima, it's good. It feels cheaper on the interior. It's good on gas. I drove it in San Diego for about 2 weeks, I would say. In the 2 weeks that I was there, I only filled it up once, and it used about three-quarters of the tank. I was pretty much just driving from like downtown San Diego to Coronado Island. So, I mean, just back and forth all day, and then just leisure trips, going out to eat, stuff like that. It was, it's a very comfortable car. Um, it's probably the transmission that I hated the most. It's very laggy, especially for a naturally aspirated engine. Um, the visibility out of all the cars, the best visibility is always going to be Subaru. I think Subarus just have great visibility over any cars. Um, and I've owned Volvos, I've owned Fords, Chevys, um, Fiats, Genesis. I've, I've I've had a couple cars. So as far as visibility goes, Subaru has always just done an outstanding job, in my opinion. Um, that's as far as I'll go into the Altima. It's the sound system. It's very stock. I mean, if you're not really like an audiophile or not really into loud music or anything like that, it's got a decent sound system. So long as you don't put it over like 20. Has really good space as far as leg room goes. It's a comfortable car. I personally wouldn't choose it just because of the price. I think if you were to get into like just stock, like not that many amenities, stuff like that, Google says it's running for about 25K right now. Um, To me, that's not really something that I'd be looking into. Nissan does have great warranties, but so do all these other cars. I'm pretty sure they're all fairly matched up to each other. When it comes to the Accord, I've been driving it for about a month now. Still driving it right now. Fortunately, my car's in the shop, but nothing that has to do with like the car itself. Somebody hit me in a parking lot, and it's just getting some body work done. But I've been driving the Accord for about a month now. It is the sport version. I don't believe it's the 2.0, it's the 1.8. It's got some decent pickup for the engine size and the car size that you have. It has a lot of turbo lag. Um, it's a very comfortable car as well. It just sits lower, more like a sports car. So if you're a taller person or older or you have back problems, this probably is not the car for you. It's it's extremely good on gas. Like I said, it's probably the best one. Um, I fill it up as much as the Subaru, but it has a smaller tank. And a smaller tank means less gas, obviously, right? And then something else with these cars, the Subaru is one of the few cars that you need to use a minimum of 87 octane. I know where I live, there's only like one gas station that handles 87 octane. Everything else is 86. So I normally have to go one up and just do mid grade. So give or take, gas is probably going to be a little bit more expensive on the Subaru. Um, Back to the Honda. So the Honda right now, I believe gas is at about 360 right now, where I'm at. I'm filling it up with under 40 bucks from empty to full, and it lasts me, I would say it gives me a range of about 450 to 500 miles. So this is probably the most fuel efficient car on here. It is forward wheel drive. All of these cars are forward wheel drive, excluding the Subaru. Um, it's a very dark interior. It's probably the most closed off interior. So if you're like claustrophobic or anything like that, this may be an issue to you unless you get something with like a sunroof or just something to just make it a little bit brighter in the car. Um, I'm pretty sure if you upgrade to like a touring, you're gonna have accent lighting and stuff like that. But overall, this would probably have been my second pick, just on a higher trim. The one that I'm driving is a sport. It has a decent sound system as well. It can't go too loud. Doesn't have a lot of bass. Um, I hate that I'm using a lot. Sorry, guys. But sorry, I was using my screen as notes. So yeah, overall, and then it's as far as comfort goes, I would put it just right on the same lines as the Altima. The Camry is probably the third most comfortable, and it's probably the most downgraded interior from all of them. Um, I did not enjoy the Camry. It's very appealing aesthetically on the outside, but be realistic, guys. You're gonna spend 97 to 99% of the time inside the car. You're not gonna be looking at it except for the times that you walk up to it and walk away from it. So, I mean, if aesthetics is what you're going for, then yeah, I would probably say the Camry's the best looking, probably on the same lines as the Accord, just depending on the color that you get. The Accord definitely has the nicest wheels out of all of them. That's something else to look out for. Wheel size, so don't go odd sizes like 19s or 17s, stuff like that. Tires are harder to find. I would recommend going on the even side between 18s or 20s. I know the Accord, I think, is running at 20. The Legacy and the Alt, well, Legacy is running 18s. Altima is running 20s, at least the one that I drove, but I did see that there's 18-inch options. Camry's also, I believe, running 18s and no, I think that one's just at an actually, I'm wrong. It's a 19-inch wheel. So, yeah, when it comes to that kind of stuff, think about your tires, future maintenance, wheel size. I mean, sorry, tire size. If it's like a weird offset, like a 215, like a 215 40 45 by 18 or 20, just depending. Like 215s are they're harder tires to find, which means it's going to make it more expensive, so you want to stick to something like a 225 or a 235 or two, like more common tires, because people tend to have them in stock more and could discount them. As far as maintenance goes, all of these cars are probably going to be running synthetic, excluding the Altimas. I know Altimas still tend to use conventional. And then most Nissan dealerships tend to give you like free oil changes for life. So again, that's all on you. As far as the transmissions goes, Toyotas and Subarus are probably the best CVTs I've ever driven. Um, I'm not a CVT fan, but if you want fuel efficiency, that's where you're gonna have to ride with. Um, I wish they made these cars in stick. I would prefer it a million times, but that's slowly becoming extinct, unfortunately. Um, but yeah, I mean, for the most part, guys, obviously, there was a bias as far as because of the car that I bought, but know that I researched these cars for months before I actually made the purchase. Um, Subaru is definitely going to be the best bang for the buck, and in my opinion, the best option. Second, I would probably choose the Accord. Third, I'd probably choose the Camry, then the Altima. Um, I just wish they had more power. The only car here that has somewhat decent power, and that's because there's a turbo. And it's surprising that it doesn't waste gas with a turbo, especially when you're flooring it a lot. Because I mean, I'm a pretty hard driver, just because there's a lot of traffic. Like you have to get in and out pretty quick of like from one street to another, so you tend to be like accelerating quickly a lot. Um, and then the highways in Texas are just they're insane. Like that's most likely like the autobahn. The only other places I've been to where they drive that fast is Chicago and Atlanta, and that's yeah. I mean, it's because it's people trying to commute to their job. If you're in a commuter city, you for sure have a lot of fast drivers. Um, when it comes to maintenance on all these, I feel like they would fall under the same general scale. Subaru may be the more expensive option, but long term wise, guys, like if you plan on keeping these cars, maybe keeping onto it to pass down to your kids, um, you want to you want a Toyota, you want a Subaru. I actually found out that Toyota is actually a shareholder of Subaru, so for Toyota to trust another car manufacturer like that, it says a lot. So yeah, I mean, I hope you guys enjoy the video. I know it's freaking 19 minutes long, but if you guys have any questions, let me know. I'll be here in the comments. I reply pretty quickly if anything. Um, yeah, hope you guys enjoy.